You're a general. A massive rebellion is sweeping across the empire. The fate of the dynasty may rest on your next move. Then, a royal edict arrives. The emperor commands you to march immediately to rescue his brother under siege. But you know the truth. It's a trap. Marching now could doom the entire war effort. If you obey, you risk disaster. If you refuse, you could be branded a traitor. What would you do? This was the impossible choice faced by General Zhou Yafu. This is Stories of Strategy, learning Sun Tzu through legends.
In ancient China during the Han Dynasty, the empire was flourishing. Peace reigned, the economy thrived, and the court basked in the legacy of the rule of Wen and Jing. But beneath the surface, tension brewed. Emperor Jing began to fear the growing power of his feudal lords, princes who controlled vast territories and private armies. Following the advice of a bold minister, Chap8, he launched a sweeping reform to weaken their power and strengthen the central state. The princes did not take this lightly. Leading the resistance was Liu Pi, the ambitious prince of Wu. He rallied 6 other princes and raised a massive rebel army. Their cry?
Punish Chap8, restore justice to the throne.
But their true goal was clear: seize power. The rebels stormed through loyalist territories and marched straight toward the capital, Chang'an. Panic gripped the court, and in that moment of crisis, one name rose above all others: Zhou Yafu, a seasoned general known for discipline, brilliance, and unwavering resolve. Zhou Yafu was urgently appointed Grand Commandant. He quickly mobilized his forces and advanced toward the front. At Chang'e, a vital choke point, Zhou studied the terrain and enemy movements. He formed a bold plan, not to charge into battle, but to hold position and starve the enemy. Then a new edict arrived. The emperor ordered him to break off and march to rescue the besieged Prince of Liang, his own brother. To everyone's shock, Zhou refused. Lieutenant was anxious.
General, the Emperor's seal is on this order. We must act.
Zhou Yafu was calm.
And where does the seal stand when the empire falls?
This is treason.
This is strategy.
His officers were horrified, but Zhou stood firm.
The emperor is far from the front. He sees only danger, not the full picture. If I follow this order blindly, we could lose the entire war. Sometimes, even a sovereign's command must be disobeyed.
And with that, he made the choice that would define his legacy. Zhou Yafu dug in at Chang'e. He reinforced defenses, drilled his troops, and most importantly, cut off the rebels' supply lines. He knew Liang could hold out a bit longer. The city was well fortified. The rebels were not. Meanwhile, Prince Liu Wu, trapped inside Liang, grew furious. He sent desperate letters, including one filled with blame.
Brother Zhou, do you intend to let me die in this city? If so, say it plainly. The Empire watches, and I suffer. You will answer for this.
Emperor Jing also grew impatient. Emperor Jing was furious.
My brother is under siege, and Zhou dares ignore my command?
The court official said cautiously.
Your Majesty, General Zhou believes the rebels are weakening. He says time is on our side.
He was given a direct order. There is no victory in defiance.
But Zhou didn't budge. He knew, once the enemy ran out of grain, the rebellion would collapse from within. Weeks passed. The rebel troops grew hungry, morale shattered. In desperation, they launched a full assault on Zhou's position. But Zhou was ready. He held the line until the rebels approached, then unleashed a storm of arrows, followed by a fierce counterattack. The rebel army broke and fled. Liu Pi tried to escape, but Zhou had already prepared ambushes along the retreat. The rebellion collapsed. Liu Pi was killed. The remaining princes surrendered. When the dust settled, the emperor summoned Zhou Yafu. Most expected him to be punished for insubordination. But instead, the emperor looked at him and said,
I thought you had betrayed me.
I was loyal to the empire.
And in doing so, you saved it.
Zhou had saved the empire, not through obedience but through judgment. Zhou Yafu's legacy wasn't just military victory. It was his courage to lead with clarity, to stand firm when others faltered, even when faced with the throne. He showed that a true general doesn't just fight enemies, He fights fear, politics, and pressure. A sovereign's order may not always be obeyed. A dangerous idea, but that day, it saved a dynasty. Sun Tzu said,
There are roads that must not be followed, armies that must not be attacked, cities that must not be besieged, ground that must not be contested, and orders from the ruler that must not be obeyed.
Zhou Yafu understood this. When the emperor ordered him to rescue his brother, Zhou didn't comply. Because the path ahead, as Sun Tzu described, was one that must not be followed. Sun Tzu taught, victory lies in adaptability, not blind obedience.
Those who understand the 9 adaptations know how to command. Those who don't will never fully control the battlefield.
Zhu saw the rebels' true weakness, their supply line. He refused to be baited. He held firm, waited, and struck when it mattered. And he was right. Sun Tzu also warned of 5 dangers in a general: a reckless urge to die, a fear of death, a hot temper, a rigid sense of honor, and excessive compassion. Zhou avoided them all. He was calm under pressure. He accepted blame without fear. He disobeyed not from arrogance, but strategic clarity. His courage wasn't in the battlefield charge. It was in the silence of the war tent when he said, "No," because sometimes the path to victory is the very path your emperor forbids. And that is the art of war.
This is China Tales. Subscribe for more stories of ancient wisdom and strategy.